All right, gang. How do you roll the most damage in D&D? Let's get into it. Hi, I'm Sarah. I've been a science and math teacher for 20 years. I like to make math fun, engaging, and not so scary for everybody. If you want more practice problems, more information, tutoring sessions, click the link and do the stuff. I watch a lot of D&D shows. Dimension 20. Woo-woo. And I started thinking about, in all of these different like dice playing, role playing kind of games, how could you roll the most damage? So here's my big question. Basically, the way that D&D kind of works is that a lot of times you will roll your D20, which is a 20-sided die. You'll roll that to see what you get. Let's say you get, that was an 8. That was a 7. Oh, good. All right, so there's a 10. So we're gonna say if I'm coming up and part of this battle or this adventure or something like that, and I say, okay, I come up to this monster and I'm gonna try to attack it. So I roll my attack just to see if I get a hit. So I say, ooh, does a 12 hit? So if the enemy has like a lower attack threshold or something like that, maybe a 12 will hit it. Maybe it won't. Maybe it's a really powerful thing. But let's say you do get something that hits, like an 18. Your DM says, yep, that hits. And you say, great, I'm going to roll for damage. Once you have determined if your attack hits or not, then depending on your attack, depending on your class and all that, I know there's a lot more to it, guys. I should say gang. I know there's a lot more to it, but basic overview, right? So now, depending on what your character is and all of that, you will roll for a certain amount of damage. Now, this may be where you roll, I don't know, a D20 for damage. I don't think there's any spells like that, but there might be. I'm sure there are. I don't know everything about D&D. I know very little, honestly. Or you may have something where, okay, you can roll 4 D6s, which are just the 6-sided die, right? D6, D8, D10, all of that just means like the die, like how many sides there are. So maybe you get to roll, your spell gets to roll 4 D6s. Maybe you have 3 D4s, you have 6 D8s, right? There's a lot of different combinations and you roll all of those, right? So let's say you roll the 4 D6s and you go, okay, so I did 1 plus 3, there's 10. I did 14 points of damage. Okay, so that enemy has now been damaged by 14 points. Most enemies, I was kind of browsing some of the lists and things. Most enemies are around like 100-ish hit points. Sometimes there's spells that you can cast that like maybe you've got like, oh, because I rolled a 20, now I get to roll 8 D6s or 8 D8s or something like that. So then you would add up all of these for how many hit points you would get. Got me to thinking, what would be the best combination of like damage rolls? If you're trying to figure out if you're making an attack, like if your attack lands, I think that's almost always a D20. And then you have these different spells and things. I was thinking, would you rather roll 4 D6s, 4 dice with 6? Would you rather roll 6 D4s, or would you rather roll 2 D12s? What would you choose? Let me know. But the reason I have these is that 4 D6s, my range of values that I could roll, right? So the range for 4 D6s, my highest that I could get is 24. Because if I got 6 on all 4 of them, that's a 24. Done. The lowest would be a 4 because I've got 4 dice. If they all roll a 1, that's a 4. If I rolled 6 D4s, well, my max, again, 24. D4 just means that you can only roll between 1 and 4. Oh, I should use my Dimension 20, my good dice, huh? My good die. If all, just like that, 4. If I had 6 of those, it would give me 24. Now, if all 6 rolled on a 1, then I would have 6. Would be my lowest, right? And then 2 D12s, my highest would be a 24. But my lowest would be 2. So there's a couple of different factors I think that go into this. And again, I don't have a specific answer. I'm just curious, like which one would you pick? 4 D6s, 6 D4s, or 2 D12s? So my range for the 4 D6s is between 4 and 24. It's a pretty good range, right? My max, regardless of what combination I choose, is 24. I can get 24 max hit points. Okay. So the 6 D4, that's pretty nice having that 6 as the base, like the lowest I could get is 6 points. That's pretty nice. 2 D12s, the lowest I could get is a 2. Yikes. Why would I even want to do that? Here's why. Because With each of these, if I have 4d6s, think about how many different combinations I can have with all of these. So 4d6s, if I have 4 of these, and I have 6 possibilities on each side, the number of possible combinations that I have is 6 to the 4th. So I have my range up there. So here are my outcomes. Okay, so 4d6, 6 to the 4th, which is 1,296. So if I roll 4d6s, there are 1,296 possible outcomes. Okay, now some of those are going to be repeat values, right? Like there's a lot of different ways I could roll 20. There's a lot of different ways I could roll 18, right? But there's 1,296 a lot of different possibilities, right? I guess they would be permutations because the order would matter, right? Anyway, if I had 6 d4s, that's going to give me 4 to the power of 6, which is 4,096 different outcomes. That's a lot of possibilities. Again, there's a lot of different options. Okay, and then the last one is the 2d12s. Now the 2d12s, here's why it's sort of enticing, is that there are only 144 different outcomes for that one. So the probability is the number of favorable outcomes out of the number of possible outcomes. So with these numbers down here, okay, let's say rolling a 24, because in each of these options, there's only one way to roll a 24. The one way to roll a 24 is that you get the max on all of the dice. So here you would get 4 6s. Here you would get 6 4s. Here you would get 2 12s. So since there's only one way to get that favorable outcome, so the percent chance of rolling a 24, with 4d6s is 1 out of 1,296, which is 0.08% chance. That's pretty low. That's really low. Now with the 64s, it goes even lower, because with the 64s, the probability of rolling a 24 is 1 out of 4,096, which is going to give you 0.02%. That's really low. You would have to roll it like out of 10,000 times. You would roll a 24 2 times. God, that seems wrong. That really seems wrong. 2 out of 10,000 times 100. Yeah, it's 0.02%. Yeah. So for that, if you rolled the 64s 10,000 times, you would get a 24 2 times. Or if you rolled it 5,000 times, you would get it 1 time. That's really low. 2d12s though, again, there's only one possible favorable outcome, but it's out of 144. So that gives you a probability of 0.7%. Way higher probability than the other two options, right? But that's the same probability. You would have the same probability of rolling a 2. So again, with the different options, right? With more dice, yes, there's a lower frequency. There's a lower probability of you rolling like max damage, but there's a lot more in between. I think if I had to choose, I would probably go for the 4d6s. I mean, it's kind of right in the middle, right? It's MathedUp. I love this in the show when Brennan starts doing this, like behind his little DM thing, and they're all like, oh God. It's just like,